Hello everyone, so welcome to our latest video series, which is focusing on PBSA, or Purpose-Built Student Accommodation. I'm here with Paul Winder from Residential Estates, and we're going to cover a different series of topics really to look into what Purpose-Built Student Accommodation is, why investors should maybe consider it, and why students kind of consider it as well. So Paul, first question, what is PBSA? What is Purpose-Built Student Accommodation?
It is what it says. So basically, over the last few years, there's been a large demand for the increase in students in the country, whether it's UK nationals or whether it's overseas. It's one market that is growing about 3-4% a year. Combine that with the fact that there's not enough residential housing, and so the councils wanting the houses back. You had the old stereotypical housing multiple occupancy, shared housing. There was a need to fill a void of where students could go. So purpose-built student accommodation was designed to let students have their own freedom, so self-contained studios generally, so like living in their own apartment with full facilities like a gym, a common room, etc. They have the freedom of living in their own place with full management, etc. And that then frees up the space for local councils, etc. to have the houses back for the residential because there's an undersupplied housing market here. But what it also creates a chance for is an investor to then invest in this sort of market where it's a lot simpler than it was, if they were investing in the housing multiple occupancy, etc.
Yeah, and this is, like I said, we'll go on to it in some future videos coming up anyway, but I guess it's a step up from a student's perspective in terms of the services and stuff they have. I remember one place that we lived in, Manchester, there was lots of different areas that were, in theory, not designated, but they tended to be student kind of locations.
Turn into it.
Older style terrace houses that were converted into housing multiple occupation. People lived there for a couple of friends for a few years, and the old stereotype of what was maybe a rundown house that students would take any old kind of rubbish. I guess it's just matured as a market, isn't it? And that's where these kind of newer build developments kind of come from.
Yeah, absolutely. And we fully appreciate that back in the day it was a very viable investment at HMO because a student had no choice unless they were looking at if they live in halls, I guess, for 1 year. Or if they were looking to have maybe a wealthy parent that bought them an apartment. The fact is, your only option was to find a shared house. And then from a landlord's point of view, and obviously I'm not saying all landlords were like this, is that, the service you got could be questionable. Because they had a massive market. It was, if you don't want it, then someone else will. And that is, all markets mature, as you know. And the fact is, this will be the future, because we've got, where we are now in Keele House, there's 160 students on a plot of land that would probably take up 3 houses. But they're in the centre of town, they're in the perfect location for them, they're close to the university. And as fun enough as we've seen today with people coming in, we've got parents now of students, and the parents have been through that trauma of living in these houses. And when they see these, they feel more comfortable with their students. So I think it is something we're going to have to get used to. And I think one of the ideas of this is to debunk the myths of what student accommodation was. It's an investment in property at the end of the day. But it's an investment in property that we feel is on the grow in certain areas anyway. There's certain areas where maybe we don't. But it's certainly something to look at when you're looking at something that's got a long-term supply and a long-term demand that will carry on growing because it's got a base of, in a way, it's almost Brexit-proof students carry on coming to this country to study.
There's going to be that demand.
And they need accommodation, at the end of the day.
And then obviously the PBSA, the purpose-built student accommodation element, from an investor viewpoint, they're effectively buying an apartment within a larger development which is designed or designated for students.
Like you will be in a residential block, you're buying an apartment within a specified development.
The student tenant profile.
The student apartment, that's the things specifically for that purpose.
Perfect.